Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far with OpTic Texas going into their home major with the Major 3 qualifiers beginning just around the corner. How is their search and destroy going to fare with iLLeY going out of the team and Ghosty now coming in? Who's going to take over the sniping role? Dashy has a few words to say for Ghosty, that Dashy might be on the sniper, even though Ghosty rather likes to use it as well. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, this is the Breaking Point Fantasy, of course, now open if you guys want to sign up. Link in the description. Now, what I will say is that Parasite has gone for a rather intelligent call in terms of trying to win the whole thing. My team, where I've gone for 4 players and 4 different teams, is maybe going to be like a safe-ish type thing. But if you want to win, there is bonuses for the teams that actually place right at the top right. So, I mean, okay, my team, I've chosen 4 players and 4 different teams. So the best they can achieve at the major is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th between them. However, in Parasite's case, if OpTic were to win and go into, you know, win their own major, then like he will get so many bonus points for his team actually placing very well. I believe that's generally how the winners end up winning these competitions, is that they'll choose at least 2 players from a certain team that ends up winning the tourney, and then they get all the bonus points for the good placings. And if your team places 12th, then you lose some points. So I think that's just how it tends to go. So Parasite probably making an intelligent call, high risk, high reward strategy, putting a lot of bet on OpTic playing well, and they have, as we'll see in a second, a very tough run of qualifiers that made me kind of steer clear of OpTic a little bit this time, but we'll see if it works out for them in the matches, of course. Also, a big note here on the flash grenades. They're now restricted in competitive settings v1.3.1, so just in time for ranked play to arrive, which I believe comes out tonight. May already be live, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, really cool stuff. Congratulations to try and get everyone to put this together. I know that Spinner Spence was talking about the fact that they've been conversing with Treyarch, and I'm pretty sure it's Treyarch who are involved in this, despite the fact that Treyarch are actually making their own game, and Infinity Ward don't even know what ranked play is, I imagine. But yeah, they've been working on these settings to make sure that by the time ranked play arrives, the ranked play settings are the same as what the pros are playing. They've banned the M4, so really good stuff. Hopefully this is the best ranked play we've had in a long time, if not the best we've ever had, really, because Vanguard was okay, Cold War wasn't really ranked, let's be honest, and then even World War II before that, they had a pretty good ranked system in that game that was played by a lot of the pros, and hopefully it'll be the same this time around. Of course, would have been significantly better had ranked play arrived back in December, or, you know, November or October or whatever when the game launched, but unfortunately we're here in February, but it is what it is. Now, another note on the challenger side is that Sleep, so Denza, Vortex, Harry, and Journey are now looking for a new organization to represent. Seems to me like Elevate have pulled out of challenges, which is not really a massive surprise, but it's just tricky, man. I don't really understand in a way why a lot of these organizations, they come, yeah, they leave challenges, then they go back into challenges, and then they leave again. And it's like, you know, surely in a way they know, you know what you're getting in challenges, right? It's a pretty difficult situation. You sign the players, I guess you're hoping that one of them gets picked up by an organization, a CDL org, and then you can get some sort of buyout figures, but it's not exactly cheap to fund these guys to events. Certainly European teams to get over there to NA every single time, it's not so easy. So, you know, these guys are a phenomenal team. Hopefully they get signed somewhere, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of these organizations, I imagine Elevate felt like they had enough of burning through money, which kind of feels like what challenges is to many organizations, and why you could argue that all these CDL teams should be mandated to field an academy roster as well, but also the Awoba Bobs, so one of these European challenger team that's been making waves for quite some time. Awoba himself, the owner of this team, is looking to actually send his team to be able to compete in NA challenges next year. This has been a big talking point, of course, because at the end of the day, if you want to get your guys signed at some point, or if you want to actually really make a name for yourself and achieve something, probably playing from North America is the way to go. We've seen players do this in the past. Cruz, for example, from Australia, moved out there to the US, competed there, made a name for himself, did very well as a result, and seemingly Awoba Bobs are going to try and do the same thing next year. So pretty cool update as well, just on the challenger side. And speaking of the path to pro, this comes out last night from Scott Parkin. I only saw it because Clay responded to it, but there's a new job available if you guys are interested in applying. So Scott Parkin says, if you ever use the clown emoji about the CDL, I expect you to come apply. So I guess maybe I'm obligated to do exactly that. So they're looking for a competition operations coordinator for the path to pro side. So we'll report into the manager of competition ops. These are the responsibilities, all this type of stuff. So anyway, there you go. Explore location, apply now if you guys want to get involved. And Clay says, like, I'll get straight in there as well. So I mean, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But they're looking for someone to help coordinate their path to pro setup. So maybe actually taking seriously the third pillar of the Call of Duty League logo, which was meant to be the pros, the fans, and the challenger sides. But maybe should have just been a one-pillar logo over the last couple of years. Let's talk OpTic then, right? So here's, of course, Dan Ghosty getting into the Hex quarters for the first time. One of the big questions I have, though, is how is their Search and Destroy going to play with their new lineup? We saw earlier today that Ghosty said the hardpoint has been very good. They smoked, presumably, London and Florida in scrims in hardpoint, but the Search and Destroy has been probably the best mode of OpTic so far with their new team. Of course, even with iLLeY in the roster. Not really a massive surprise. iLLeY, S&D start, Dashy, phenomenal S&D player, Shotzzy, Huke, the same thing. Even with Scump, it was the same deal. Their Search and Destroy with our team is always going to be pretty good, and yes, they might have choked the occasional 5-3 lead back in the day. Well, plenty of those actually, but in recent times, their Search has been the game mode you can most rely on them in, especially like when they played Thieves, right? Had they have won that control, had they have won the map 4 hardpoint, I think a lot of OpTic fans would have been pretty confident going into Game 5, which hasn't always been the thing in OpTic history, but now their Search is looking rather good. Now, how does it fare without iLLeY? Because yes, Shotzzy's been doing a lot of the in-game leadership lately, and it does seem a little bit strange in a way to me, the fact that iLLeY, since his injury, hasn't really been quite so vocal. Maybe I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but in the listens-ins and stuff, it was often Shotzzy making a lot of calls. iLLeY didn't seem to kind of have the same leadership elements that he had before. Let's say during the Vanguard season, it was praised so much for. So I'm a bit confused as to why, right? Because surely iLLeY knew as well that one of the reasons why he was praised so highly and was remaining on the team was because he was kind of the leader, the in-game leader, and even at times maybe the out-of-game leader for the roster, and was therefore praised highly by the team. Kind of stopped doing that, and then they drop him because I guess they feel like they don't need him anymore, which is maybe understandable as well. But what they could potentially need of him is his sniper and Search and Destroy. He's been phenomenal so far this season with the sniper, arguably the best in the entire game, but presumably, well, obviously someone's going to have to take over that role. It's either going to be Ghosty or it's going to be Dashy, and Dashy has some few words to say here. He says, look, Ghosty, don't get ahead of yourself here. I'm still the big dog in this house, and if I want to snipe, I'll be the man to snipe.
Have you played with Ghosty before? Nah. Tomorrow's our first day. I might have to tell the kid though, because I know he snipes. I might have to tell him, like, I'm back on the op. You know what I mean, Stream? I have to. Actually, I don't know. He's pretty nasty on it. Should we just take the op, bro? Should we just take it back from the kid? I was like messing with him a little bit.
Nah. I gotta let him focus. I gotta let him focus.
Dan?
You know?
Nah, Kyler was the most turn I've ever seen in my life, bro. That series was crazy, Kyler.
Nah, Kyler, dude, that knife in the kitchen, bro. I don't know, dude.
Nah, the knife in kitchen was actual hell. He sent Ace into the shadow room, bro.
I was being too loud, bro. I gotta look at him, bro. He's fucking loud.
Okay,
fucking
Dan.
loud. Get another one.
All right,
Oh yeah,
Dan
he's got
Ghosty?
one more. Oh no, he doesn't. Yeah, he
Oh my
does.
god, this guy's
he's
literally
chilling.
Oh
Dude,
my god.
crazy.
Oh, he heard him. He heard him. Yes, sir.
Oh, he's
Okay,
moving different, bro. Oh, whoa.
Wait,
He's
I
gonna
gotta
knife
let
his
him
ass. Oh!
What happened?
Ghosty, baby.
Oh, give me another one.
Dan
Cross, watch the
Ghosty, bro.
cross.
Oh, no, he hits all time.
A couple of other funny clips as well to show there with, well, Ghosty doing rather well in these 8s over the last couple of days on some nice tears. But yeah, let's look at the numbers. So these are the lineman cards here. We saw in Search and Destroy 9 in 4 in Search from the OpTic guys, Control 4 in 5, Hardpoint 7 in 9. So it really was their Search and Destroy carrying them a fair bit. Of course, their slaying wasn't really there in the respawns, but Dashy has been ridiculous. Now, what's kind of surprising to me in a way is that Dashy's Control is actually his worst game mode right now, which is definitely a big surprise because last year, I'm sure you guys remember, Tuscan defense control, Dashy probably averaged like a 1.6 or something for the first part of the season. He was outrageous on that particular map mode combination, and just control in general, he had like a 1.3. This year's only got a 0.92 in that stage, so that's something they've got to think about. But the Search and Destroy from Dashy has been phenomenal. 0.85 kills per round, that's in the purple. Average damage per round, pretty much best in the league. First blood rate, pretty much best in the league in terms of like a percentage, even though Shotzzy is always getting in the engagement, as you can see by comparing the numbers. But and of course, Hardpoint, similar story. That's the thing with OpTic though, because you'd expect without iLLeY and with Ghosty in, these slaying numbers should probably get better. Of course, if Huke as well doesn't have the gyro aim assist on, you can expect some marginally better numbers from Huke, I would imagine. So, you know, it puts the team in a better slaying position, which should win them more respawns. But will their Search and Destroy maintain? Because their S&D was a big part of why they were able to win some series. I mean, look, they went 4-1 in their qualifiers, despite their respawn numbers not looking so good. A large part of that was clutching up game 5s, and Dashy was a key part of doing that on the AR, right? He wasn't running the sniper. So this is where the question, I think, to me comes along. Should they put Dashy on the sniper again? Because, I mean, look, Dashy is unreal with the snap. There's no doubt. If you guys watch anything in Black Ops 4 or even in more recent years, this guy shoots very straight. I mean, he came from the sniping community, right? I mean, that's what he used to do back in the day. So he's great with it. However, he's dropping a 1.4 in stage 2 without the sniper. So maybe it makes sense for Ghosty to pick up the sniper just to ensure that Dashy can remain as impactful as he was before with the AR. Maybe they feel differently, but I think that's one way of looking at things here. And just in general, if I was like the coach of this team, of course, they don't really have a coach right now, but still, we'll see if they change that over time. I definitely prefer the way OpTic have got their search set up. We have got Shotzzy, the first blood demon, Huke is like the second guy in, and then it's one of your ARs that's using the sniper, which I think is the way to do it, right? Because we've seen with Boston, for example, when Vivid is the man sniping, it kind of slows down some of their aggression from an SMG perspective. Like, it needs to be one of your ARs doing it. It was before in iLLeY, and Dashy was using the other AR in the Scar, whatever, and this time maybe it's the same story. So if you guys were the coach of OpTic, what would your guys' perspective be? Would you say, Dashy, you're unreal with the snipe, it's time to take it over? Because that's what Dashy was saying to Ghosty kind of there, right? Wasn't speaking to Ghosty directly, but was saying, look, like, I'm still the man here. If I want to snipe, I'll be the man to snipe. And maybe they'll try it out, because we've heard very, well, promising rumors from their hardpoint performances so far. Whether they can maintain their search and destroy level, that's going to be crucial, because to win tournaments, you've got to win game 5s. We see this every tourney, especially with how competitive it is nowadays, that, you know, for example, FaZe, they won so many crucial clutch search and destroys at the major. The 5-3 comeback against Rokkr in the winners finals. Of course, that 1v2 that aBeZy had to then win the round 11 against Thieves to go up 3-2 in the series. Like, those are the moments that win you tournaments, and OpTic have been, you know, honestly having those moments in search and destroy. They just haven't been good enough in the respawns to get to having those moments at a crucial time where you're going to win a tourney as a result. They're having those crucial moments to get top 4. So you probably unlock more saying in the respawns, but do you quite still have what it takes in the search and destroy if Dashy takes over the sniper? I think that's a question for OpTic to, well, find the answer to over the coming weeks. But clearly their respawn's been getting better from what we've heard in scrims, but we have no idea how their search and destroy is faring, of course, because those type of informations do not become public. But just wanted to make very clear for you guys that OpTic have a tough run. Their first game is against LAG. It's honestly a must win. They must beat LAG given their schedule here. So they play LAG first on the, well, Saturday, February the 18th, in just a few days' time. Then they play Toronto. Then they play Rokkr, of course, top 3 at the major, and had a very hard time beating them, as we saw. And their final 2 games are against the Major 1 champions, the Subliners, still a very good respawn team, and then the Major 2 champions in Atlanta FaZe. So, I mean, man, OpTic have a very tough run indeed. They're going to have to win, I think, some game 5s here to make sure they set themselves up nicely for their home major in Texas, where, of course, they won Major 1 last year in also about early March time. I think it was, yeah, something like early March time, and this is going to be middle of March time, just because the season, of course, this year started far earlier indeed. Now, speaking of OpTic Texas and Vanguard, just wanted to mention this, because I know that, like, I've seen a lot of people saying lately, oh, Vanguard, it actually wasn't too bad, what a fun game to watch, all this stuff. I'm like, oh my god, the COD cycle is at it again. Like, I mean, okay, I'm sure some of you guys believe that, but I do find it hilarious in a way how, you know, we trash a game for an entire year, and then as soon as it's done, it's like, actually, Bacage, not a bad map, you know. Now, what I will say is that Tuscan is actually a very good Call of Duty map, I think. Without the Vanguard tax that unfortunately it suffers from, it would be, like, I would say that if they were going to remake, hopefully they don't remake Vanguard or do a remaster or anything, but down the line, I would love to see Tuscan get brought back, because it's a traditional 3-lane map. It made a lot of sense. Like, the lanes were fun. It was a great map, to be honest. So, yeah, hopefully that returns. But Kavutu, Berlin was okay, but Kavutu, I never want to see that one again. Now, Pred actually says, I thought it was pretty funny, best competitive map ever in Call of Duty. I'm sure he is speaking somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but in fairness, Pred was probably the best player on this map. Like, Surge were ridiculous on this one. Pred and Simp were, like, consistent 1.5s, 40 bombs, no problem at all on this particular map mode combination. And I thought it was a pretty funny response from Kenny, actually. He said, like, what map is this? Excuse me, I don't really know what you're talking about here, because, of course, if you guys remember Los Angeles Thieves last year, would always veto Bacage. They, like, never played it at all and completely refused to ever go anywhere near it. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this type of stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.